Hello, my family community. So I started thinking this morning, I did my reviews, I did my watching, listening, and something kind of hit me hard this morning. When I make my videos, just to let you know, I don't just make them out here without consideration to you. I don't just create just to put information out there. I don't create just for my benefit alone. However, subscriptions and likes help me a lot to keep me going. But I would like my platform, I would like my channel to be useful, not just for my benefit, but for yours as well. So I will say that if you do continue to like this channel, please like and subscribe because it does help me keep going. But my topic this morning, and basically it's been a little bit to have our coffee moment together, but my topic this morning I think is going to be more beneficial. You have been watching my pantry challenges, and eventually pantry challenge will end. However, creating recipes won't. I will continue to have you sup in our kitchen on our homestead. But I'm leaning more towards a tool that will help you more than just my everyday recipes. Maybe it'll help broad span in the area where you're looking at, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this to you. I've seen some of your comments saying that that I'm gifted into this. And I thank you. I thank you for your compliments. It's amazing. But I think I could be more useful by teaching you and just giving you a basic tool, plus adding in my recipes, and plus showing you how to utilize what you're preserving. All of this in general is a big tool that you can use for your lives, especially those of us who are living with the diabetic. So this topic is going to give you the tool and how to convert ordinary recipes and how you can make it work for you as a diabetic. Now I'm going to do the best I can without confusing you and give you some examples. Now I'm just going to take, right now, I've got one of my random cookbooks. Now this is not ordinarily a cookbook that I would use every day, but I'm going to use this book as an example. And I randomly went through this cookbook to find a recipe I can convert to make it acceptable to use for my husband. Now, I do understand that I do know a little bit more about food, and over time, so can you. The more that I put out here on this platform, I understand the more you learn. And that's fantastic, because that is my goal. You are my goal, not me. So I am going to start with an ordinary recipe, and I'm going to help break this down and see if this is a tool that will help you in the future to start learning how to be able to convert your own recipes that you happen to like. So we're going to start with a recipe called meatball skillet meal. Is it something we would ordinarily use? Probably not. But it's going to be a tool to try to explain to you on your way to learning how to do this. So where I'm going to begin with is look at my ingredients. I'm not looking at the amount right now. I'm looking at the overall ingredients. So in this ingredients on this recipe, it's got eggs. Okay, well, eggs are safe. They're great for protein. Hello, my photo bomber, once again. Girl, I'm telling you what, get down. My next ingredient is milk. Okay, milk can be tricky for a diabetic. A lot of milks have a lot of sugar content and a lot of carbs. This is one we can work with to convert. Can I take an almond milk? Possibly. but I want to look at, do I want that flavor? Can I use a heavy cream base? Yes, because it's a milk source that's versatile. I can actually lower the fat content in it by turning it more like a half and half. Half heavy cream, half water. This can be worked with. The next ingredient is soft breadcrumbs. Okay, for my diabetic, that's a trigger food. It's a high carbohydrate he can't use. What can I use in place of the soft breadcrumbs? My sources is I can actually use pork rinds. It's the same thing. Now I want to think, how is this, why would this ingredient be in this meatball skillet? Okay, well, I'm going to look at the directions and find out where are they using this soft breadcrumbs at, and for what purpose. Well, they're going to combine the eggs, the milk, the breadcrumbs. They're making this mixture, and the more I look at this mixture, it's going to be used like we did in the meatball or in the meatloaf recipe. It's a binder. Now we have learned you don't necessarily need a binder. You can if you want to, if you want a more dense, but is it necessary? No. So in the conversion, you got choices. You can make your binder into pork rinds, or you can totally eliminate it. There's that option. So the next ingredients: dry mustard, celery salt, pepper, nutmeg. Okay, see, these are seasonings. Yes, seasonings have carbs. Everything adds up, and I totally understand that. And these are areas, these are flavors. You can choose to eliminate or keep. However works for you in your diabetes. We'll go on. There's grated onions. You've got ground beef, flour. Okay, that's another high carbohydrate my husband cannot use. So now I have to find an alternative. Again, using that tool, what is the flour used for? And is it something I have to accommodate for, or can I eliminate it? Again, I'll look at my directions. And as I read in my directions, the flour source is used just for a coating. Now you're going to take in the directions and fry this meatball up. So I can have the choice right now to totally eliminate that, and I don't have to worry about it in the carbs. I can remove those carbs and totally eliminate the flour altogether, because again, it comes in with that binder. Girl, oh Lord. So at this point for me, I'm going to totally eliminate that flour in that recipe. There's really no use for the purpose of it. Now I could, if I wanted to keep it, I could create a breading recipe that is lower carb, and that could be from the keto flours that I learned from. If I want to go into the special ingredients where it's higher in price and use that as my coating, or I could go into the other, which is a little bit milder coating, where I'm using the pork skins and the flavoring and Parmesan cheese. Okay, if it's unnecessary, I'm going to choose elimination to save me cost. So that is one I can eliminate and convert away from. The next ingredient again is milk. We're going to look here later in the directions on what all this is used for. Another ingredient is a can of cream of mushroom soup. Well, we know, and I guess she's going to join me, y'all, today. There's just no doubt about it. She definitely wants to see you. So if I'm using the cream of mushroom soup, I'm looking at, I can convert this because I learned how to make a cream of chicken soup a lot safer keeping that recipe that I learned and putting it in my recipe file, and I can turn back to it, and I can take the chicken out and make it cream of mushroom soup. It was an alternative. So these are tools to use to be able to do that. So I can eliminate the high carbs and sugar from the can. Another ingredient here is salt. And the last ingredient is a can of mixed vegetables. Okay, now this is one that's kind of tricky. Now I'm going to have to look at what's in the can of mixed vegetables. And I'll do this for you. So when I look at a can of mixed vegetables, it comes with green beans, safe for a diabetic. It comes with peas, can be safe for a diabetic in moderation because it's one of those carbs that break down slowly. There's carrots. Those are another ones. It can be used, but in moderation. Now you're thinking moderation. You got two moderates. You got peas and carrots. Now this can become an overload. And then the last one is corn. Now corn is one of those carbs that'll go straight to your blood sugar. So when you mix all these together, I'm going to look at my ingredient base and go, there are 3.5 servings in an entire can. Each serving is a half a cup. So you got a 15-ounce can of mixed vegetables. You're going to divide it just using that half a cup. And you're going to have to put the rest of it away in the fridge. There's one alternative. When you look at the ingredients for just a half a cup of this, there is 7 grams of carbs. There are 2 grams of fiber, so that cuts that down to 5 grams of carbs for a half a cup. There's also 2 grams of sugar. Okay, that don't seem bad right now, but when you look at your recipe, it says an entire can. Now you're going to have to look at the overall. Can you spread this meal out? Yes, you can. I hope I'm not confusing you. I'm hoping I'm kind of helping you, and I will work through this with you. I promise. But I've got to give you this tool. So the overall, if I'm going to add all of this up in an entire can, I've got to add in each half a cup. There's 3.5 servings in one can. So I got to take that 5 grams and add it 3.5 times. So my total amount of carbs altogether is going to come down to 23 grams of carbs for that entire can. And it's going to come down to 7 grams of sugar. Okay, that's too risky for me. Especially if you're watching how much you're using a day in your carbohydrates. So, I'm going to break this down. Can I alternate vegetables to accommodate my diabetes? Absolutely. And let me tell you how. You can keep the green beans in this mix. You can choose one of the 2 low-down carbs. You may be able to want to keep the peas and eliminate the carrots and use, say, maybe some chopped squash, yellow squash, zucchini, something like that in its place. You definitely don't want to use the corn, so what can you use in that? Well, you can use a mushroom. It accommodates a beef really nicely. So you want to take and break down that bunching mess and divide it in areas where it's safe for you, adding other vegetables, bringing more nutrients to your body. I'm hoping this is making sense. So take that can of vegetables, turn it into fresh food, accommodate it where it's going to combine a lot safer for you, and you can add this to your recipe. So now let's break this recipe down, and we're going to convert it right here. And it's going to make it safer, taking an ordinary recipe and make it safe for you. The directions say, combine your egg, milk, breadcrumbs, seasonings, onion, and mix this all together. You're going to use about a tablespoon of the mixture for each ball. Okay, so here's the ingredients in the conversion way that you're going to make this recipe. You're going to use your egg. You're going to convert your milk into a safer level for you. You're going to eliminate the breadcrumbs altogether because it's not necessary. You're going to keep your salt, your dry mustard, your celery salt, your pepper, your nutmeg, and your grated onions and your beef. Mix this together. You just cut your carbs right there, and you just made yourself safe to present this in your meal. Then the next part of the instructions were telling you to go ahead and roll those balls in flour. Well, that's where that flour mix come up there. Again, it's basically used as a binder. Is it necessary? No, you can eliminate it. You just cut your carbs in this ordinary recipe again. Totally eliminate it. Use a good fat, olive oil, avocado oil, ghee, and you're going to fry those little meatballs up. You're going to cook them, and then you're going to set it aside. You just cut your carbs right there. You took an ordinary recipe and you converted it for yourself. Now, you're going to take, after you set those aside, now it comes to your soup base. This is going to be your cream sauce. You're going to combine milk and soup in a bowl and pour it in a skillet. Okay, well, now we know where that one extra thing of milk came from, and I kind of figured that was going to happen when you mix it with a can of mushroom soup. Go ahead and just do your low-carb cream of mushroom soup that you learned, that you have stashed in your recipe book, how to convert. Use that, and you just made that safe for you, cutting your carbs right there. And then it says to place and add your vegetables. Okay, so now you're going to take your vegetables. Let's see, place vegetables in the center and add a half a tablespoon of salt. Cover your skillet and turn your burner on high until it all steams. Well, let me just make this simple. Take your fresh vegetables. After you make your soup, set your soup aside on warm. Take your pan, saute your fresh vegetables, and let's create your dish. You've got your meat source you've already set aside and you cooked. You have your soup. So now we're going to take the soup. We're going to add your meatballs to it. You're going to take your fresh vegetables that you sauteed, and you can plate it up as such, like this. Take your dish and your soup mix. You can plate your fresh vegetables around it, or you can take your soup base, put your fresh vegetables in the center, and take your meatballs and put it on top. You have converted an ordinary recipe. Dress it up any way that you like. If you want to put it all together, put it all together. That's where it becomes your option to do what you want. But you took an ordinary recipe and converted it into what you needed it to be. And all you have to do, learn your triggers, what sets your sugar high, what don't. Utilize what don't into what works for you in a recipe. And you can convert any recipe you want just by knowing these tools. It sounds complicated, and in time I'm hoping to be able to break this down. I will find recipes like I've been doing, showing you one-on-one in my kitchen on how to do this. I'm going to continue to do this until it clicks in your head on utilizing the tools. It took me a while, y'all. It did. But when it finally clicked on what I was doing, it became easier to convert any recipe that I wanted. Now, can all recipes be converted? Honestly, no, some are harder than others, and some will require higher expense. I am at this point, the way things are going, I want to eliminate as much high expense as I possibly can using what everybody else uses, but in a form that will accommodate my husband's sugar and won't spike him. If I sounded confusing and I put too much information, I sincerely apologize, but I needed to give you at least a tool to start with. And you can break this down slowly until you can comprehend what this means. And again, I will go through my recipes with you and break them down to where knowing these tools and watching this, it will start coming together. This is like a puzzle piece. It seems confusing when you get this 1,000 box of puzzles and like, okay, how am I going to put this together? But in time, you first had to have that basic tool to understand, put these other pieces together to where you can be where I'm at right now. Once you understand your food, once you understand what your triggers are, it becomes easier. And before you know it, you're going to be off and flying thinking, wow, okay, so now I'm going to look at what I've been preserving. I know how to do this now. I know how to create. I know how to work with, utilizing what we're doing, whether a homesteader or not, gardener or not. You're going to be able to utilize the food that you buy and know how to do it and be able to create meals that are safe for you from anything of your favorite meal. Now, that's not including absolutely everything, but for the majority, you can do this. It's just learning how to. So I'm hoping this video helped you at least give you the basic tool. And again, I know this can be overwhelming. I sincerely apologize for the overwhelmingness. Stop and pause my video. Take it in if you have to. Jot down notes. It's a reference guide to start you off. That is vitally important to start you off where you don't end up in YouTube world where honestly that part there is confusing to me because everything I'm finding, there is no basic tool. Everything I'm finding is what I've been doing. You come to my kitchen and sup with me every evening. You get a recipe, but you're not getting the general tool that you need to be able to learn how to convert for your own self. That's important. Every one of us can get a recipe book, but what if there's something we like and we would like to change this, but we don't know how? So what do? We take it away from our diet. Why? I mean, why would we deprive ourselves? Let's find out, can we do this or not? Can I actually enjoy this favorite recipe? Of course I can use others' recipes. You know, it does help me be able to create my own book for my family, for my health, that works. But wouldn't you like to do something that you enjoy and instead of what I make or what somebody else makes? So I got to thinking about that for myself. So this is where I learned how to convert. I had to learn my food, learn my triggers, and learn what I can and cannot convert to enjoy what I like, not what just everybody else has available. So break it down if you have to, folks. Pause this video, take your notes, absorb the concept and the tool that you need to be able to stretch for a long term, and before you know it, you're going to get these talents. You're going to get this genius ideas, and you may have somebody come to you and say, teach me how you did this. So much love to you. I don't want to overwhelm you. I think I gave you a lot of information right now that will take some time to absorb, and I totally get that. I will continue to keep giving recipes and how-tos one-on-one with you to sup in our kitchen every evening. And I'm hoping in time you will be able to grow where I can hear you come back to me and say, Miss Carrie, thank you because I just enjoyed this recipe. Lord, y'all, shoot. I don't know why you touch my heart so strongly, but you do. And to be able to see those comments come from you, I know that I did my job so you can enjoy life and not be afraid of food. And I'm sorry, but when I use my husband as an example, He was beginning to come to a point he was afraid to eat anymore, and there's no sense in this. We just needed that concept of how to have a utilized tool from the beginning to be able to enjoy food again. And I'm not stopping here, folks. I will do this for as long as it takes to you comprehend, and I want to see your recipes. I want to see you share with me how you converted your own recipe and made you leap for joy. That brings more enjoyment to me than just creating a video without your concern in mind. So I'm going to stop here. I could ramble on, and you're touching my heart deeply, and I don't feel like being a crybaby on my videos. So, much love to you. I look forward to seeing you in our kitchen and supping with you tonight. Until then, love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.